Laravel Policies. To create a policy, we need to run the following command. PHP artisan make policy, name the policy, post policy, and then what are we creating this post policy for? Which model? We're creating the post security policy for our post model. When we execute this command, a new directory called policies will be created in our app directory. That post policy class is going to import the post model and the user model. Then it is going to automatically scaffold several abilities that a user has in reference to a post. Each of these abilities, view any, view, create, update, delete, restore, or force delete, all return booleans. Is the user able to view any post? True or false? Is the user able to view this specific post? True or false? Is the user able to create a post? True or false? And that keeps going down. Update, well, is the user able to update the specific post, delete the specific post, etc., etc. Once we have our policy created, we need to go to our auth service provider. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove our gates that we created in the previous tutorial of Laravel 6 authorization. Next, we're going to go up here to this protected policies array. We have created our policy. Now we need to register our post policy to our auth service provider. So we're going to say app post. The security model for app post is going to be app/policies/post policy. Just like that. Now we have successfully created and registered our post policy. Now let's go back to our post policy class and let's define some of the abilities a user is able to interact with or implement on a post. View any. Well, let's return true. And then let's go to our resources, views, post, index.blade.php. We're going to say @can view any, then we're going to pass in our post. And then down here we're going to say @end can. Now, if you notice, our post policy doesn't actually accept a post. It accepts a user, but it doesn't accept a post. So why are we passing in a post? @can view any post? Well, in our auth service provider, we're saying, okay, the post model class, that policy, the security policy for our post model is post policy. Behind the scenes, Laravel knows to inject the user. And when we pass in the post, we're saying, hey, get the security policy for the given class that this object is the model from. So, because a post is created from the post model class, then it knows to go to the post policy and based on the current user, say, okay, return true or false, or maybe return user is super admin or something like that. But we have to pass in the post so Laravel knows to look in the post policy versus a different policy that we may create. Then, of course, if we were to go and reload our Laravel page, we can view any post. If we went back to our post policy and we said false, what's this going to do? Well, it's going to remove all the posts. The user cannot view any posts. So, it doesn't show any posts. Let's set this to true for now. And now let's say, okay, in our view ability within our post policy, let's say return the user ID is the post user ID. So only return true if the user owns this post or if the post belongs to the given user. Now let's go back to our index.blade.php and let's just say view. Let's reload our page. Now we only get the 10 given post owned by Arnaldo Dash. Let's take this example a little bit further. That's how we can determine who can view a post within a Blade template. But what if we want to, I don't know, say, hey, the user can always view the post, but the user is only able to delete the post if the user ID is equal to the post user ID, meaning the user owns the post. How does this work? Well, first, we need to actually define the delete ability. And we're saying, okay, hey, if the user owns the post, they can delete it. That makes sense. Next, we need to go to our routes, and we need to add a route to actually delete the given post. So we'll say posts/post, and then we'll map that to the post controller at destroy callback. Next, we need to go to the actual post controller and implement that delete ability or destroy ability. And all we're going to say is post delete, and we should be good to go. And let's just imagine, let's do post delete, and then we're going to redirect them back to the post page. Return or redirect, we're going to say back to the posts. So they're going to delete the given post, and then they're going to redirect back to the posts. Finally, we need to go to our actual view and add the ability from the user interface for the user to delete the post. We're actually going to just remove this can view right now. And we're going to say, okay, let's say we have our post title, and in our post title, we want to add a button. And all this button is going to do is going to say, okay, the class is going to be a button with button danger, which makes it red. We're going to say delete post. But we actually need to make this a form. And we need to say, okay, method equals post, and we'll make that capital. Then we'll say the action is /posts/post ID. Then we need to close the form out, move that button to the bottom, and we're going to say type equals submit, just like that. And when the user clicks that, they can submit the form that deletes the post. But remember, in our auth routes file, we actually are mapping to the destroy callback on the controller. And we already have a get method on this. So what we actually need to do is we need to say, okay, route delete. And that is actually going to map to the post controller destroy callback. Then inside of our form, we need to do @method equals delete, and then of course pass in our CSRF token to prevent cross-site forgery. Okay, so once that is all set up, let's just say, okay, float right to pull our button to the right. Now, if we reload our page, we have a delete option on all of our posts. And I'm going to do this real quick just because I like when things are even. Float left. And we're just going to put that in a div. Just like that. And let's reload our page. Okay, so now the user can delete any post, right? That's not really what we want. What we really want to do is, hey, if the user owns the post, they can delete the given post. So what we're going to do is we're going to do @can delete and then post. Then we're going to say @end can, just like that. Let's reload the page. Okay. So now the user can delete the 10 posts that the given user owns, but on all the posts that are owned by other people, they can still see them, but they can't delete them. So let's try deleting it. What happens? Okay, looks like it worked, but let's count these just to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Originally there were 10. Now there are only 9. We successfully deleted the post for the given user. Now let's say, for whatever reason, we do want to show this delete post button on every single post, but we only want it to work on specific posts. So in the view, in the blade, in the user interface, you'll always see this delete post button, but it only works properly. It will actually only delete the post when the user owns the post. So to get this set up, let's do a couple things. First, let's go up here and let's simply say, okay, count posts. That way we can see how many posts we actually have. So currently, because we deleted one, we have 99 posts. And I'm actually going to put parentheses around this real quick because, you know, clean code. All right, so we have 99 posts. Next, we need to delete this. This will show the delete button on every single post, right? But currently, if we try to delete the post right now, well, we could delete any post. That's not what we want. We only want the user to be able to delete the given post they own. So to only allow the user to delete the post that they own, first, we have to make sure our policy is still set up right. We haven't changed it, so our policy still works. All we want to do is we want to use our policy in other places than the blade. Instead of using this @can directive, we want to use it, for example, in our post controller. So let's just do this. First, we can use it by accessing the authenticated user. So let's use the global auth helper and get the authenticated user. Then we're going to say, if the auth user can delete the given post, then allow them to delete the given post. Otherwise, don't do anything and just redirect them, right? So let's try this out. So we have 99 posts. The top 9 posts are owned by Arnaldo Dash. So if we scroll down and we press this delete button, we still have 99 posts. But if we delete one of these top 9, now we have 98 posts. Now we have 97 posts. And if we scroll down and we delete something that's not in the top 7 now, then it doesn't work. So that's using the user can. So the user model has a can function on it. Another thing we can do is we can add it as a middleware. And this one's pretty cool. So we can say route delete, and then we're going to say middleware equals post.delete or can and then delete post. Just like that. Now, it properly works for the top 7, but if we scroll down, we get unauthorized. The user is unauthorized to run this action or to implement this ability on a post. And that's because we added this middleware can delete post. The last thing that we can do is if we want to authorize it, but we want to authorize it within the callback, within the controller, and not as middleware, we can say this authorize, and then we can say delete post. And again, if we go back to our post, we try to scroll down and we try to delete a post, it's still unauthorized. So that's how we can set up and use policies on middleware or as middleware and within the controller itself. Now, if we look at policy methods, And if you remember from the previous video about gates, I said gates are a lot like routes and policies are a lot like controllers. We'll notice that each controller method actually maps to a policy method. So the controller index maps to viewAny. Show is view, create is create, store is also create, edit is update, update is update, destroy is delete. So what we can actually do is we can do this. You can say, okay, in our controller, we're going to add a constructor, public function construct. And we're going to say this authorized resource on the post class, and the parameter is going to be post. Now, what is this going to do? Well, this allows us to remove this authorized method here, and automatically, before any of our post controller methods or callbacks or actions are hit, it's going to check the associated policy. So when I say associate, I mean like the index maps to viewAny, and the create maps to create, store maps to create, because if you can't even see the form to create it, you obviously can't store it. And this is show is view, edit is edit, I believe, so on. So by setting it up in the constructor like that, we are able to simply say, okay, every single one of our controller methods is automatically going to check the policy. So if we go back to our page and we reload our page, okay, we're going to get the viewAny. But check this out. If we try to scroll down, we try to delete, we still get unauthorized. So if we were to actually go to our post policy and say, okay, delete is now true every single time, no matter what, then we go back to posts, then we can delete anything. So let's scroll down. Now we can delete. So all we did was we said, okay, hey, within our post controller, map every single controller callback function to the associated post policy. So for example, if we were to go back up to viewAny and we said false, well, our index is automatically checking that. So it's going to say unauthorized. And that is again because the index maps to the viewAny policy method. And so even though we're not authorizing in the blade, even though we're not authorizing in the specific index method, we're saying authorize the entire resource. And that automatically maps the given controller callbacks to the policy, I guess, ability checks. So we're going to say true again. And we're going to go back to our post controller and we're going to get rid of this. What else we can do? Or actually, no, let's keep that. Let's keep that. We're going to say in our post policy, we're going to say viewAny is still false. So just to prove that works one more time, we're going to go there, reload the page, still unauthorized. Intercepting gate checks. Remember when we did that, we overrode the checks using gate before or gate after? Well, check this out. If we scroll down, policies have the same ability. They're called policy filters. And all we need to do is on the policy class itself, if we go public function before, if the user is superadmin, return true. Now remember in the gates video, we added is superadmin to our user class. And we're just hard coding true in. And so now on our post policy, before any gate check, we're saying, okay, if it is the super policy or the super admin, if the user is the super admin, return true. And it works again. We overrode both policies. So on our post policy, we said, okay, the user can view any, we set that to false. So we overrode the view any policy, but also check this out. We have this delete policy, right? And we're saying that only the user that owns the post can delete the post. Well, if we go back, and because we're using that before policy filter, we can delete any post, 94. And if we scroll down and delete one that we don't own, 93. So that's policy filters. And that is the before hook. And you can also change this based on the ability. If user is super admin and ability equals delete, or ability equals view, or, and there's a cleaner way to do this, ability equals view any, then, and we have to set that as a method, then return true. Otherwise, don't return anything with returns null, which basically just says bypass this. You know, just skip it and then follow the gates. So now, the super admin can delete, view any post, and view any specific post, but the super admin is not able to update another user's post and make it look like they said something that the given user didn't. So that is the before filter policies. And the last thing I want to show you guys today is that we can actually treat gates very similar to routes. So on a route, we'll say, okay, route get, and then we're going to say example route, and then we say example controller at test, right? Well, on gates, we can do the same thing. We can do gates, and then we're going to say define, then we're going to say view, and we'll call it view post just to clean it up a little bit. And then we're going to say app/policies/post policy at view, just like that. Then in our post controller, in our post policy, we have our view method, which is always true, right? We'll just keep it as true. And using that auth service provider, we now have a view post, and we're going to change that real quick. We're going to rename that to auth service provider user can view post. You know, not really good reason to do this other than example, but just for the sake of example, we'll say for each post as post at can user can view post, and then post, then we'll say at end canned, just like that. Now if we reload this page, this action is unauthorized. Well, that's because in our post controller we're already doing that, so let's get rid of this and reload the page. Okay, so the user can view the given post. But if we go to our post policy and we set this to false, then we reload. Now the user cannot see any of the posts. So that's how you can set up gates and policies more like routes and controllers. So guys, that is all I have on Laravel 6 authorization policies. If this was useful, like and subscribe, and I will keep them coming. Next, we will get on to form requests, form validation, form error messages, custom form rules, and authorization through a form request. Thanks again, guys. This is Zachary Horan with Clean Code Studio.
Simpler, simple, yes.